What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on this situation with the Golden State Warriors, right? So the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves are tied at one apiece. Game one, fortunately for Golden State, they was able to take game one. They stole game one. Steph Curry played like 13 minutes, then he got hurt, like a hamstring, right? Nobody know how. Most people don't know how serious it is when Steph Curry will be able to come back. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back, before Golden State get eliminated. And so now they lost game two, and in my opinion, I don't think it's time for Golden State Warrior fans to panic. And I'm saying this because I'm hoping that Steph Curry, uh, like his injuries are not serious, and he'll be able to come back, you know, uh, during this series and be effective and help the Golden State Warriors. Now, they lost game two. They got blown out in game two. And I thought that Golden State was going to play a little bit better in game two, just because of how like how Buddy Hield played in game one, how Brzezinski, I think that's the way you pronounce it, how he played in game one. The role players really stepped up. Jimmy Butler didn't have a really good game in game one. He was solid. Draymond Green was really he was focused and stuff in game one, and Draymond Green was really good. But Steve Kerr spoke after game two, and he said that basically what he did in game two was he tried out different people in different lineups just to kind of get a feel for who he can use in this series going forward, and who he can, what they'll be able to contribute in this series, and like what lineup that will be best, will make the Golden State Warriors more effective. So I'm gonna trust it. It's just that, because like I said, the only chance that they have, the Golden State Warriors have, to get past Minnesota is if Steve Kerr come up with a strategy and a plan that's really gonna put these guys, like he's gonna have to maximize the bench and the players that he have. This is where you get to see, like, how coaches, what coaches can do with the talent that they have, and the parts that they have to get them to the next level. So, and basically that's what he said he was doing. He put certain people in there against certain lineups to see how effective they could be. And I think, and part of the reason I think he did that, it might not be a good sign as far as like how soon Steph could come back. May not be a good sign. Maybe they thinking that Steph gonna be out. He gonna be out for a long time, or maybe even miss this series, this against the Timberwolves, which I'm hoping he don't. I'm hoping like it's a minor thing, but it's going to be like the game comes on today. It's Saturday. They play again today. Golden State Warriors in game three, Minnesota Timberwolves. So I want to see if Steve Kerr really, like, as far as his coaching, what changes. Like game three, this is going to tell me, like, if he has made some changes that's really going to be able to help them win this game and get them to the next level, get them through this series. If he found some type of chink in Minnesota's armor, he found a way where, as though his team, like the parts that he had, the pieces that he had, that they can be effective against this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And then again, I think another thing, what I think they did, Golden State, I thought they did, I think they kind of rested Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. Like, they didn't really play them that hard. They knew that the Minnesota Timberwolves was going to come out with a lot of energy. And for Minnesota, there would have been no excuse for Minnesota to go down 0-2 at home against a team that didn't have Steph Curry. So that was, so he didn't throw the game, but he knew that they would, if they're not at full strength, they would have had to expend a lot of energy. It would have been a lot of pressure on Jimmy Butler physically, and not really mentally, but physically to get past to get a win out there. And then if you don't get the win now, Jimmy Butler is wore down. And so now for game 3, the plan that you want to put in place, now you got another problem because you got a tired, wore down Draymond Green. You have a tired and wore down Jimmy Butler. So not only is he dealing with the injury to Steph Curry, but he got 2 older players that he's going to need to really lean on to get him through this series. So if you're Steve Kerr, you have to really you got to kind of pace these guys, and so in pacing them, that's really the only chance they really have. So I'm looking for Jimmy Butler in game 3 to come out and go all out and leave everything on the court in game 3. And that's how it's going to probably be, until if they can push it to a game 7, and then these guys will just give everything they have in that game 7. Like if it goes 7, I like Golden State. And hopefully by then Steph Curry will be back. But that's what I think they're doing. Like Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors, they're coaching for the long term to extend this series. Because if they can extend this series, then it comes down to one game. And then in a one game series, anything can happen. But and then you give Steph Curry a longer opportunity to get better and come back, and he's more effective. And then if Steph Curry is there for that 7th game, then I like I'm pushing for Golden State. And basically, I don't think it's time for them to panic. I don't think it's time for the fans to panic. As a fan, I'm looking just to see like what kind of adjustments, like what can Steve Kerr and that coaching staff do to extend this series. Give Steph Curry a way to get back. But he's got Steve Kerr got his he got his work cut out for him. Steph Curry not being there. And like I said, then you got Draymond Green. He looked kind of tired the last game. And so I just think game 2 was game 2 used that to feel them out, test out some things. And I think the real series is getting ready to start. And so that's why I don't think it's time for them to panic. I thought it was a wise, I thought the way he did game 2, Steve Kerr did, it was wise. It would not have been, in my opinion, they would have been taking a big risk if he'd have came out, and just expected Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler banged up. He would have been taking a big risk just to really push them to take that victory, game 2, unless he really thought and sure that they still had an advantage without Steph Curry, which they don't. And so, like I said, they knew that they was going to get a lot. They was going to get a Anthony Edwards that was really charged up in game 2. Just everybody for the Minnesota Timberwolves was really charged up because they definitely did not want to go or need to go down 0-2 against a team that was depleted. So but like in game 3, like I said, I want to see in game 3 what type of adjustments they're going to do, what they can do to win this game. Now they may even go down. The Golden State Warriors may even lose this game. And so if they lose this game, again, they down 2-1. I still don't feel like it's time to panic. Hopefully, then and if they go down 2-1, then they got to come back and tie it up at 2-2, right? and then they'll just force to. It's just right now. It's just all about, in my opinion, just extending the series, giving Steph Curry a chance to get better. Because all of these guys have been here before. But that's my take on it. Golden State fans, people who are rooting for Golden State, do not panic yet, because I know I'm not. And so, with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.